What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an EP review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new EP from the band Visceral Throne, entitled Those Who Have Fallen Beyond the Grace of God. This is released on Comatose Music. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Evansville, Indiana, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very technical, apocalyptic, blasphemous style of brutal death metal. Yeah. My first introduction to this band was their 2012 debut full-length entitled Omnipotent Asperity. I really strongly consider this to be one of the very best albums of that year, for many, many reasons. Really awesome lyrics, great artwork, very well-structured musicianship, very infectious snare tone, guttural vocals, just a very impressive debut. Not to mention, this release was one of the very last albums to come out under the Brutal band's banner. Of course, that label is no longer existent, but this release was one of the very last to come out from that label, and I would consider it to be a very impressive debut album. Of course, this band's come quite a long way. They used to go under the guise of Rotted Rebirth, put out some really good music under that banner. Then they formed Visceral Throne, and now here we are. It's been quite a couple of years since we had heard something from this band. Ever since then, their drummer got involved in another sort of musical project, done as somewhat of a ribbing on the slam culture of brutal death metal in guttural encephaloslamectomy with their 812 EP. Really hilarious stuff, not only for the sense of humor that record showed, but also for delivering some top quality brutal death metal music. I still enjoy that EP a great deal. But yeah, there's been a bit of a lineup restructuring when it comes to this band. Little bit of a shake-up in the lineup, if you will. Short minus one member. So now this release was pretty much done as a trio. And I was very excited to hear something from this band again. And now here we are with this small little EP of sorts entitled Those Who Have Fallen Beyond the Grace of God. It's only 5 tracks and it clocks in at around 13 minutes in length. So savor whatever little time you have to spend with this EP, because as short as it is, I think it's somewhat satisfying to hear something from this band again. You could definitely tell that there's a lot more to sink into this time around when it comes to listening to the music. It's still as top-notch as the previous release, although you can tell there's a lot more effort being thrown into these riffs. I think the guitar playing throughout the entirety of this record sounds very awesome, very heavy, brutal-sounding riffs. I love the technicality of the guitar. I think it sounds really nice and very well-structured, especially on songs like Father and Indulgences. You get some really awesome riff work being laid out throughout those songs. Very frantic and spastic, great riffs, a lot of awesome slammy moments when it comes to the slower parts of the songs. I think these guitar riffs do some incredible things here. The bass work, I think the drummer is doing the bass for this record. Very awesome to listen to. I love the way this bass guitar sounds, very gritty and grimy, very audible and clear in this production and mix. It's a very well done bass guitar sound, and I love the way that it sounds on this entire record. When it comes to the drums, one of the main things that entertained me about the last record was the fact that this drum performance was so dominant and over-reliant on the snare tone. It's not that it seemed to be distracting, but that was the whole point of that first record, is just how loud and poppy that snare is. There's a lot of pingage going on with the snare tone. For this new EP, the snare seems to be just as overbearing and as obnoxious as the previous release, but that's the intended effect for a drum performance like this, and I think it really sounds entertaining to listen to. It really feels as though you're listening to popcorn being oiled up and ready to pop inside of a kettle of a popcorn machine. That's the kind of sound I feel I'm hearing when I listen to this snare tone go off. It's really natural sounding. It's really entertaining. I don't know how some listeners may feel about it, but I still find it to be really entertaining stuff. But as far as the rest of the drum performance is concerned, I think it's awesome. A lot of great hyperblast moments, great fills, good patterns, a lot of great pace work going on when it comes to the drumming. I find it to be very entertaining. It's a far different sort of drum performance in comparison to the debut, but I still think it's awesome to jam out to. And when it comes to the vocals are really awesome here. Same routine as the last record, very guttural, very undecipherable, but yet it fits perfectly for the musical compositions being done here. Very guttural, very well worded, very crazy sounding, especially when it comes to the concepts of this new record. Of course, by the name of the album and by the song titles, there seems to be a little bit of a dirty, blasphemous sort of undertone going on, especially on the track Father. Some lyrics that are going to be a little bit cringeworthy due to the content of it, but still, I think that song works out very well and does its job tremendously. To even a song like The True Sin, I think the lyrics on that song work out very well too. It's nothing we haven't heard before, but still the way they're handled out here on this EP sound really good. And there's a pretty good cover song from the band Internal Suffering. Colossal Vortex is the song. That's a pretty good way to close out the record. So overall, I kind of wish this release went on a little bit longer, but then I realize it's an EP, so we're just only getting a small taste of what could soon be to come from this band. It's really good to hear something new from Visceral Throne again. I'm really interested to hear what the next step in this band's evolution is going to be, whether they shorten the lineup or expand it, whether they tackle a different sort of topic. I think it's a very entertaining EP, and if you were a fan of their first album, you'll find something to enjoy with this new EP. So I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will link you to the track The True Sin, which you can check out and listen to on the Drummer's YouTube channel, and I will also leave you links to where you can purchase physical copies of this album. It is available on Comatose Music. You can buy the CD, and there are also t-shirt options available, and I will also link you to where you can purchase directly from the band. They also have t-shirt and CD options available. So again, the EP is Those Who Have Fallen Beyond the Grace of God by Visceral Throne. This is released on Comatose Music. Go check this out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a pretty solid 8 out of 10. Very solid return for this band. I'm very excited to hear what's going to happen next. If you've happened to have heard this EP, let me know what you think of it and how you feel it compares to what Visceral Throne put out previously. So I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Army Help out.